Hello, everyone, and welcome to May. We're so happy that you joined us, our technical webinar series, Run Oracle Your Way on Oracle AI Database at Azure. And today I'm really excited. This is deep dive number 3, enabling AI. And AI, I've never heard so many conversations about it going on recently, and it just keeps moving faster. And so we're really excited to talk to you today about Microsoft Foundry, Microsoft Copilot Studio, and Oracle MCP. My name is Tammy Bednar. I'll be your host today. And also, if you have any questions, please post them in Q&A and we will get those answered for you. So I'm really excited because our experts today are Jeff Smith from Oracle. Hey, Jeff. And Raja Lakshmi from Microsoft. Hey, Raja. All right. Thank you for joining. So let's get started. So, in case you didn't know about this webcast series, if this is a first time joining, we want to try to make it 30 minutes of focused technical discussion on a single topic, insights from Oracle and Microsoft product managers, and of course, live Q&A. So, please register for future webcast series. Our agenda today is I want to quickly go over our Oracle AI database at Azure services, and then Jeff's going to take us through Oracle MCP. Then Raj is going to talk about Microsoft AI ecosystem, and then Jeff's going to tell us about upcoming announcements, and then I'll share links and resources for you as well. This is being recorded, so you'll be able to view the replay and also view our content as well. So just a reminder of our services that are available to you in Oracle AI Database at Azure. We have our autonomous AI database, fully managed cloud native service running on Exadata platform. Then we have our Exadata database service family. This is a co-managed Oracle database service that runs on Exadata. And you have a choice of whether you want a dedicated Exadata database service or Exadata database service on Exascale infrastructure, which is a shared. Then we have our base database service, another co-managed Oracle database service on standard VM infrastructure. For backup recovery, we have our autonomous recovery service, fully managed zero data loss recovery using real-time transaction protection, and then OCI Golden Gate, fully managed replication service to enable real-time analytics while keeping data highly available. Yeah, I know that's really fast, but you'll have this recording. You can go back and take a look at that. Very quickly, we have done so much work between Oracle and Microsoft to give you new functionality. So here's what's new since our last month's presentation. On Oracle AI Database at Azure itself, we now support up to 200 subscriptions under a single Azure billing. And that's really exciting for a lot of you. We know you've been asking for this. On Oracle Autonomous AI Database, there's early maintenance support capability or functionality for those of you that want to be able to apply the updates earlier than 2 weeks. For example, maybe you have a test dev environment, you want to test it out first. Then on Oracle Exadata Database Service on dedicated infrastructure, we've now introduced cross-region data guard for Oracle Exadata Database Service on our dedicated infrastructure for Azure Key Vault. And this is really important. I know some of you have been asking about key management across our standby databases. Then on our Oracle Exadata Database Service on Exascale infrastructure, we now support auto scaling for Exascale storage files. That's very important to keep the workloads moving, and we've added additional regions. Also, we've added additional regions for Oracle-based database service. And then finally on Oracle Golden Gate, we've also added lots of regions. So you can see they have a lot of flexibility where you want to run your workloads on which service as well. So that's really exciting. Jeff is going to take us through Oracle MCP Server.
Thank you, Tammy. That was a textbook demonstration of how to use your time efficiently.
Yes, it is.
Now the pressure is on me. Thanks for having me. I only have a few minutes. I'm going to jump straight into it. Our friends at Microsoft have built a wonderful ecosystem, and they have allowed us to partner with them to bring you Oracle at Azure. And they've also got a really great ecosystem for AI, which is their Copilot brand. So what we want to talk about today is a little bit about how you can get the most out of your Oracle databases with AI technology And this model context protocol is what allows a lot of that magic to happen. So I'm just going to talk a couple minutes basically on what MCP is and what our first iteration of MCP servers for Oracle databases look like. So it's all about providing context to your agent beyond what it's been trained on, beyond what it's been prompted or given in terms of resources. What if your agent had access to things in your ecosystem, like your GitHub repo, like your developer tools in your Chrome browser, like a database running somewhere? And the protocol defined in late 2024 has grown like crazy because it's basically a universal connector to allow any agent to interact with any sort of third-party program ecosystem that follows this very simple protocol. And so as a developer, I might be doing mobile app development with a Go programming language interface talking to a database running in Azure, and I might want help debugging or creating that. And I could use Copilot to help me analyze that code, but I could also ask Copilot to help me analyze my database model in my Oracle database running in Azure. And the way it gets into the database or the way it would get into my code base is probably via an MCP server that gates access to those environments. So what gives the agent the ability to do things are via these primitives or these three levels of resources. The most important thing is tools. Tools are sort of like the APIs. Tools are sort of the go do stuff action items. And so it's via our tools that our MCP server allows you to connect to an Oracle database and work with an Oracle database. You could supply prompts that might be useful for your customers to help interact with your entities. And you can even share PDFs or markdown documents if you wanted to provide those as agents as well. But 99% of the power is via these tools. And so Oracle introduced our first MCP server for Oracle AI database in July of last year. It works for any edition, including the free edition of the database. So if we just scroll back in our memory 5 minutes to when Tammy had that awesome slide of all the different ways you can run an Oracle database, we support all of those. From the free version up to the fanciest Exadata dedicated you can think of ecosystem. And we don't care where it's running. It could be running on your laptop. It could be running in our cloud. It could be running in one of our partner hyperscaler clouds like Oracle at Azure. This stack is known as a local MCP server. And so if I'm a developer or DBA and I already have my dev kit, my IDE, my debuggers and stuff like that, our MCP server runs alongside of that, and it's going to connect to your database using normal database credentials. We've delivered this MCP server via an existing Oracle database utility called SQL, which is included with every database install and has been included with the SQL Developer product for about 10 years. When you configure Copilot to come talk to the database via our MCP server, which happens, by the way, automatically if we're using our SQL Developer extension in VS Code, here are the tools that we give you. So it's not just setting up a single database. You can have it talk to any database that you want. So I could say, hey, go connect to my data warehouse. It's going to look for a connection that looks like a data warehouse, and it's going to ask you for permission to work with that via connect request. And if it does things that I want it to do, I'm going to approve those tool requests. And then the agent does what the agent does, which is answer your questions or make you happy, in which case it could be, I've asked a question, hey, how many widgets did we sell last week? And it engages the LLM to generate a query that then now has a path to execute on our database via this run SQL tool. So the MCP server is sort of the man in the middle between the agent and the database. It's deciding who gets in, what they can do, and it basically answers the tool requests from the agents, and it marshals that to the database, does the work, and brings the results back down to the client, in this case, Copilot. So when we say local MCP server is running on my machine, there is a concept of a remote MCP server, which I'm going to talk about after we get through this. Here's what it looks like, an example in VS Code with our SQL Developer extension with Microsoft Copilot. I have a list of connections on the left. The MCP server has access to those connections. It can see what they are. In the chat, I can ask questions that invoke the agent to go say, hey, I need to go do something in the database. So it's not only about generating code, it now has the ability to execute that code, get the results back, and amend its plan and iteratively, get through the task that you've assigned it. It's really a game changer. Getting started, the easiest way, if you're a VS Code user, is just grabbing our SQL Developer extension from the marketplace. Just search for Oracle. It should be the number one item. If you are running a Docker container environment, you can containerize SQL CL. You can use the Brew package installer on Macs, or you can just simply curl get this off our website. It's completely free, no additional cost, although it is also supported. And then you need to start creating connections either via our GUI or through the command line interface. Connections are the most important part. This basically gives the path to the database and it defines the database user account that's going to be used by the agent. So you want to set up users that can do very limited things in the database. Prioritize security. We've been saying this at Oracle for many, many years, but the advent of agentic AI has really increased the threat vector for bad things happening to your database because you need to keep an eye on what agents are doing. You need to remain in charge. You are the pilot in the Copilot metaphor. The Copilot doesn't drop your database. You let Copilot drop your database. So don't even give it access to environments that are sensitive. Talk to dev, talk to test, talk to read-only data guard standbys, talk to your enterprise manager warehouses where all your performance data is at. Use accounts that have been basically set up to be read-only. If you are a developer and you're working on a local Docker, make sure you're just backing up your work and you stay in charge. Never trust what the agent's about to do on your behalf. Never click, I allow you to do whatever you want for the rest of my session. When it pertains to interacting with your database, you want to be there verifying what it's doing. Just a few examples of what these agents can do. It's basically a limitless parade, So as a developer, I could say, "Hey, help me build my data model," or look at my data model and suggest to me indexes that I have missing. Hey, I read about this new thing, JSON duality views. I love the NoSQL model, but I also need some relational SQL to go along with that as well. Can you create that for me? Hey, I have the data model already in the database. Can you just build a React web app that runs on top of that? Why is my query slow? Fix it. Why did my database hiccup last night? Why is my user account expired? You can ask your agent these questions, and now it has a path into the database securely to help you achieve these things. I would now like to pass the baton to my colleague at Microsoft, Raja.
All right, so yeah, like I was saying, you have seen all these capabilities that Oracle MCP has to offer today. But let's tie it back to the enterprises, right? As a product manager, when I speak to my enterprise customers who are running Oracle workloads on Oracle database at Azure, the requirements or there are common themes in terms of the challenges they have. So every enterprise has diverse skill set of people bringing in different data requirements. So these data requirements would then translate into technical challenges that they have to solve around the data estates that they have. Some of the common themes we are seeing is, for example, a business user or like a finance VP reaching out for insights from Oracle data. This means they reach out to their DBA teams today, email them, wait for a few days, get a CSV extract from them via email or through Teams chat, and then they kind of do the analysis themselves. And whenever there is a need for additional data, they reach back to these teams and the cycle just repeats. But the million-dollar question there is, even in the era of AI, why are we not getting insights right away more securely, right? And the other theme that we're also seeing is most of the data engineers today who are working on distributed data estate, having different data sources, in case of building a report or whenever there is a need for a requirement for building a report, they have to stitch too many things together through scripts, and they have to heavily monitor all of these scripts. And why is there no unified data intelligence that could bring all these insights more seamlessly? And how can we solve for this gap, right? Not just with the structured data. Some of your compliance teams might be stitching together the insights from the transactional data that you have in Oracle databases with the PDFs and contracts that you're maintaining in SharePoints. And this correlation is done manually today. And why is there no unified knowledge base that could kind of correlate these structured insights with unstructured data insights coming from a PDF and help human in the loop evaluate these results more fastly, right? Why are these gaps existing today, and how can we integrate AI into solutioning for this? And let me tell you all of these three themes, if you have these problems today, can be resolved if you're running your Oracle workloads on Oracle database at Azure in integration with what Microsoft has to offer and also Oracle has to bring through MCP. So before I get to solutioning, I just want to introduce you the two platforms Microsoft offers for building your agents that could solve most of these problems that we just discussed. Copilot Studio is Microsoft's low-code platform, which helps you build custom copilots right away. You have about 1,500 plus connectors readily available today that will help you build your custom copilots based on your requirements securely on the data and making sure you're enabling role-based access control the right way for the only users who need to look at this information. On the other hand, Microsoft Foundry is our AI app and agent factory that is our pro-code platform, which helps developers have more customized solutions built and more innovative solutions. It is very important for you to understand the difference so you can pick the right platform based on your requirements. Copilot Studio can be leveraged when you have a heavy requirement of business users or citizen developers needing quicker data insights, and this is a SaaS solution. On the other hand, Foundry is a platform as a service solution where Microsoft takes care of the infrastructure for you, right from helping you build agents, govern them, monitor them, trace them, and evaluate the agent's performance, all in under one umbrella, while your developers can focus on actually building innovative solutions. So based on their requirements, it's important to pick this right platform. And one important factor to understand here is any advanced agent that you build on Microsoft Foundry can be seamlessly integrated into a custom copilot that you build in Copilot Studio, which means these two platforms are connected the right way. So it's up to you to leverage based on your requirements. And this is all great. Now let's tie this back to how can you start by building agents on your structured data, which is in Oracle, right? The first option you have if you don't want to do a lot of heavy lifting is to leverage Copilot Studio. Copilot Studio comes with a direct Oracle connector that runs on a secure data gateway, which helps you to connect to live Oracle data directly. So it can be tables, it can be views of your choice. So this is a straightaway way for your business users to look at a subset of information quickly without having to rely on database teams. And there is no data migration needed. Like I said, the connector directly connects to your live instance of Oracle database and then helps you draw those insights securely. On the other hand, if you need more customizations, you can also expose your views and tables as needed using Oracle's ORDS and expose or add those endpoints into Foundry built agents as open API specs. With Oracle MCP that is available today, you can also deploy that as a standalone server on an Azure Container App or an Azure function. And with the pre-built integration with Entra ID and VNet support, your databases are always kept in a private environment without exposing it to public instances. And you can build agents that are only securely communicating to your Oracle data. So no matter where you build your agents, be it on Copilot Studio or Microsoft Foundry, Microsoft Purview provides you that data governance to ensure that you're able to classify the data the right way in terms of sensitivity. And with the role-based access control and Entra ID authentication, you're ensuring only the right users can access these custom copilots or agents that you're building. And when the users are accessing this information, you're also making sure the right information is exposed to each of the user based on their privileges too. So the two levels of access can also be enabled no matter where you are building your agents and while Microsoft Purview is taking care of the governance. And if you have a very lightweight requirement to build a quick business application, you can use Microsoft Power Apps, which is equivalent to Oracle's Apex, to build a quick business application. So this also has a direct Oracle connector that you can leverage similar to Copilot Studio without having to move your data. Now let's say you have a requirement of unifying your heterogeneous data estate, of which Oracle database is one instance and you have the rest of the ecosystem elsewhere. You can use Microsoft Fabric, which is our preferred platform for unifying your data estates into one single umbrella. And with the IQ layer that was announced in Ignite last year, so you can define your business entities and use ontology to define a semantic layer that kind of has the unique definition. So when you're building data agents within Fabric, all your data agents have unified context and there is no distinction in terms of how you define a business entity in Fabric versus elsewhere. So all these options are readily available to you today to go back and build. So let's tie this back and make this a little more rich, right? So shown you how Microsoft Foundry and Copilot Studio as platforms help you build agents, custom copilots, and with intelligence layers, which were announced last year, Fabric IQ helps you enrich your unified data estate, and Foundry IQ, on the other hand, helps you bring all your unstructured data, meaning files, PDFs, CSVs, PowerPoints, all of them into a unified knowledge base. And Work IQ helps you grill that context from teams, emails, and workflows together into a single umbrella. The intelligence layer is the differentiating factor that makes your agent development much more richer. The reason being for that is you're not building agents in fragmented ecosystems anymore. Your business entity definitions are unified across the platform. So every agent that you build, no matter where it is, be it in Foundry or Copilot Studio, understands the business entities the same way. And there is no silos in it. Right? So this is all great with Microsoft Purview always governing your data, and you have Entra-ID authentication to ensure the right access is enabled. So this is all possible with the partnership we've brought in together with Oracle. So when you're running your workloads in Oracle database at Azure, you can leverage Oracle MCP, you can use the native connectors that we have in platforms, and also expose agentic solutions as per your requirement. So let's go back and tie this to our original problem statement, right? So you're using these approaches that we have showed you today. Your finance VP can build a custom Copilot directly using the Copilot Studio and the connector to get those business insights right away with a few clicks. And you're not waiting for your DBA teams for a few days. So time to insight kind of cut from days or weeks to seconds. Similarly, your compliance officer is no longer doing the manual correlation from data coming from admin reports, PDFs, to the transactional data sitting in Oracle, right? Using Foundry IQ, that is your knowledge base, which is unified, and you also bring in data from Oracle using the views exposed as APIs or secure endpoints the way you want, and then Foundry IQ is kind of bringing both of these together. And your data engineers can leverage Oracle MCP to use the tools right away, not having to build them explicitly, and also leverage the Python scripting that they can add into Microsoft Foundry to build these automation workflows. So more time spent on analysis rather than building all of these fragmented reports. Last but not least, if you have a unified data platform like Fabric, you are defining your ontology, which is a semantic layer unifying your business entities. So your data analysts are spending less time in understanding the business knowledge and spending more time in understanding the insights that are coming out of the data agents powered by this ontology. And last but not least, you might be thinking, okay, I'm building too many agents, but I need a common governance platform or control plane for all of these agents, right? So Microsoft Agent 365 is just that solution for you to control all of the agents, ensure you're maintaining and managing the identity of agents the same way you're maintaining the human identity and your team's identity. So it helps you observe, govern, and secure your fleet of agents the right way, no matter where you build. Bring your agents, register into the A365 registry, and monitor them, apply the right DLP policies to ensure your agents are only reading through the data that you want them to access, and all your data is always secure. So yeah, go ahead, try all of these options, reach back to us if you have any issues or if you have any enhancements that you want to see in the product. This is all readily available, and we have some exciting announcements coming from Jeff on remote MCP server. So back to you, Jeff. Thank you.
Thank you. I enjoyed that break to catch my breath. And now I guess it's on to me to take us home. I'm happy to tease you folks on something we're getting ready to go generally available with an Oracle Cloud Infrastructure. And this would also be available for folks running Oracle AI databases in Azure. So what we're going to have is a serverless managed capability to have any customer define the MCP servers they want available for their Oracle databases. So in our console, in our free database tools service, you'll be able to say, hey, I want to create an MCP server. I want it to be opened up access-wise to members of this identity group domain, which could be a federated group of users from Azure Intra ID. And based on my Azure Intra ID group membership, that would give me access to talk to a specific set of databases, to use a specific set of MCP servers, and to use a specific set of MCP tools in those MCP servers. So this really opens up all sorts of opportunities. So the local MCP server requires it's running on your machine. It uses standard I/O to communicate between the agent and the MCP server. That doesn't really scale well. Like, so if you created one of these custom agents that we just heard about, and it had like a chat mechanism, and you wanted everyone in your business analyst department to be able to chat with your Oracle database, that would be really hard to set up. It would be cumbersome to set up with the local MCP server. What our HTTPS or our remote MCP server and OCI allows you to do is define it once, define the group memberships required to access that MCP server, and then you can share a single configuration layout to the chat program or the agent mechanism. And then users will come in, they'll be prompted for their Azure Intra credentials. They'll say, yes, that's me. And then there'll be gated access to start asking these questions. So when this is generally available, which is going to be very, very, very shortly, or I wouldn't be talking about it today, you'll go into the free developer services section of the OCI console, and then you'll look for something called database tools, and that's where you'll find our model context protocol servers. Again, we're not using database credentials to get access to the database now. I'm using native cloud identity management to decide what resources I have access to. And those resources now include things like MCP servers, connections into databases, and the databases themselves. So Tammy, Raja, and I could all be configured to use the same MCP server, but see completely different set of tools or reports available to us once we're in there based on our group memberships. Security is still very, very important. It's very critical that you set up the right types of database connections because at the end of the day, we control database security at the database layer. So if I was creating an agent, a skill, an MCP server to empower, people asking questions about inventory, I would create database users that only had select or read privileges on views that went against our inventory objects in the EBS, for example, application. I might even just only grant execute privileges on stored procedures that go and get that data for you. And that's all they could ever do. So that's where you start building the security layer, is at the database user that's used to power the MCP server. It's really point and click to set this up. One of the nice things is when you start creating these, we have access to all of your Oracle databases in your tenancy, and you can literally say, oh, I want that database, I want this connection, our domain for our users are going to be set up over here. Any access to secrets or vaults that we need to access your databases, it's all point and click. You can optionally give us access to the object store, which is nice. So if you were to run a request that takes 5, 10, 15 minutes, 6 hours to do, maybe it's like an end of quarter report, we can run the tools asynchronously and stow the results of the tool request to an object store bucket, and the agent can retrieve the results later when it's finished. Finally, this is where the other big changes from what I was talking about in SQL.cl. In SQL.cl, you have a defined set of tools. We have those same ones here via these built-in tools, but as an administrator, you can now define your own custom tools. So if you want a tool that does nothing but reset a password and send an email to the user on how to set up their account again, you could create a tool that does that. Or if you wanted a tool that does nothing but count the number of tables in your schema, you could create a tool that does that. So it's literally open up to anything you want to do with SQL or PL/SQL. And then the other thing we're adding is the ability to add reports. So curated parameterized queries that are known to the MCP server by name and description. And so when you start asking questions, your agent has the ability to answer those questions, not by generating SQL and running it, by saying, oh, there's a report there that gets me what I want. Let me run that report. And so that makes it much more likely that you're going to get the right answer because it's not some ad hoc query that may or may not be right, it's always going to be running the exact same SQL every single time. And so many of you in your organizations, you've been building up these reports for decades anyway. You can load these up into your cloud tenancy, provide directions to the agents so they know how to call the reports. Like, for example, hey, this report requires a start quarter and an end quarter. You can use this report to get a list of quarters available, and then you can just invoke the report. The agents, the LLMs are really, really good at picking these things up and just using them auto magically almost. You don't have to teach an agent how to use an MCP server if you do a good job naming your connections well, naming your reports well. I think I talked about security enough, and I'm done talking. Here's the best part. This is a no-cost feature. Really, what you're paying for is the usage on our database. So we love it when you use our databases. Our pricing models are super awesome. You pay for what you use in most cases. So in this case, the agents are going to be running queries on your behalf. That's where the cost is. But in terms of the infrastructure and the tooling, we just build that into our console. We make it really easy for you to set up and run.
I love that, Jeff. And I'm gonna wrap this up because I know we're a couple of minutes over time.
Yep.
Summary, MCP is the connective tissue. So and I really like what Raja said, flexibility to choose the right platform for requirements, but they all work together and they all recognize all the data, all the agents. And I really like 3 layers, one workflow, and credentials never leave the database. I think that's very important from a security point of view. Here's a slide on all the resources we have. Again, I will post these slides up in Ask Tom where you joined, and also you'll be able to view the recording as well. Okay, I know we're out of time, but next month, come back. We're going to talk about integrating with Oracle E-Business Suite. And Jeff and Raja, such a great job because we had lots of people asking about demos, and I think we will use that in one of our sessions. This is AI and our integration is not over, and we're really happy that you enjoyed our technical session. So thank you again very much for joining us, and reach out to us if you have any questions, and we'll see you next month. Thank you.